Christmas Eve is supposed to be magical, warm lights, full tables, families laughing. But not every child gets a night like that. Some spend it surviving. Jasonstatham was heading out of a diner when he noticed a tiny figure by the trash can. A little girl, shivering, clothes soaked, digging through garbage like it was normal. He knelt beside her, voice gentle, and asked, "Sweetheart, why are you out here alone?" She clutched a half-eaten bun, eyes glossy with tears. "Sir, I'm not stealing, I'm just hungry." And that single sentence shattered him, but what came next was much worse. Before we continue, if stories about compassion, courage, and ordinary people stepping up when it matters most inspire you, then thank you for being here. Your support means more than you know. And if you enjoy emotional, real-life stories where kindness changes everything, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss the next one. All right, let's get back to it. Snowflakes drifted like little sparks from the sky, melting the moment they touched the pavement. Christmas Eve always had a way of making the world feel softer, like even the cold itself was trying to be gentle. But on some streets, the cold didn't feel gentle. It felt merciless, like it chose certain people to punish. Jason Statham had just finished a late dinner at a small roadside diner, the kind decorated with mismatched lights and a plastic Santa that had clearly survived too many winters. He wasn't planning to stay long. He was passing through town on his way to visit an old friend. He had his jacket zipped up, keys in hand, ready to step into the quiet hum of his car heater. But fate has a strange way of writing nights like these. Because as Jason pushed open the diner door, letting a gust of cold air sweep in behind him, he caught something out of the corner of his eye, something small, moving, trembling. At first he thought it might have been a stray cat, or maybe a raccoon rummaging for scraps, but then he heard it, a faint, brittle cough. Jason turned fully, scanning the dimly lit parking lot. Snowflakes blurred the edges of the world, but then he saw her. A little girl. Maybe 7, maybe 8. Her clothes were thin, 2 sizes too big, sleeves dirty and frayed. Her hair hung in damp strands, plastered to her cheeks. She was kneeling beside the diner's trash bin, hands disappearing into it like she had done this 100 times. Jason froze. Most people would have walked past, maybe assumed a parent was nearby, maybe told themselves someone else will help. But Jason wasn't built that way, not then, not ever. He stepped off the curb quietly, boots crunching over thin ice as he moved toward her. She didn't hear him at first. She was too focused, too desperate, sorting through wrappers and scraps with little trembling fingers. Every few seconds she'd pause, wipe her nose on her sleeve, then continue searching. It wasn't until he was just a few feet away that she startled. Her head snapped up, eyes wide like a cornered animal. She clutched something to her chest, a half-eaten hamburger bun, stiff from the cold. "Hey," Jason said softly, raising his hand slightly to show he meant no harm. "Easy, it's all right." The girl didn't move, didn't blink. She just stared at him, shoulders curled forward like she expected to be yelled at. Jason knelt slowly, lowering himself to eye level despite the cold seeping through his jeans. "What's your name, sweetheart?" She swallowed, lips cracked, voice barely a whisper. "Emily." "That's a beautiful name." He glanced at the bun in her hands. "Are you hungry?" Emily hesitated. For a moment Jason thought she'd shake her head, the way kids do when they're too proud or too scared to admit the truth. But instead her small voice cracked open. "Sir, I'm not stealing, I'm just hungry." The words hit Jason like a punch to the chest. Not because of what she said, but because of how she said it, like she had practiced that sentence, like she had said it before, like life had made her defend herself for simply trying to survive. Jason leaned in a little. "You're not in trouble, Emily, okay? You hear me, not with me." Her eyes flickered. She didn't quite believe him yet. He pulled off his gloves, ignoring the bitter bite of the cold, and offered one hand toward her. His palm was open, steady, patient. "Come inside the diner, it's warm. You can have a proper meal." But Emily shook her head instantly, too quickly, too scared. No, I can't go inside." Jason softened his voice even more. "Why not?" Emily looked toward the window of the diner, the glowing neon lights reflected in her eyes, along with something else. Fear. And then she said something that made Jason's blood run cold. "He'll see me." Jason's instincts sharpened instantly. He? Not they. Not my parents. Just he. And the way she said it, like the word itself hurt, told Jason everything he needed to know. He glanced toward the parking lot. There was no one around, no car idling, no adult yelling her name, just snow, silence, and a little girl who looked like she'd been forgotten by the world. Jason lowered his hand again, this time gentler. "Emily, who's he?" Emily hugged the bun tighter. "I'm not supposed to talk to anybody. If he sees me talking, he gets mad." Jason's jaw tightened. "Is he your dad?" "No." She said it too fast. "Okay," Jason tried again. "Is he someone who takes care of you?" Emily looked down. "He says he does." That wasn't an answer, and Jason knew it. He shifted his weight, trying to keep his voice calm. "Emily, I'm not going to hurt you. I promise you that, but it's freezing out here, and you shouldn't be alone." "I'm not alone," she whispered. Jason frowned. "What do you mean?" Emily pointed, not with her hand but with her eyes, toward the dark alley beside the diner. Jason turned slowly, muscles tensing, expecting movement. A shadow, a figure, something. But there was nothing, just darkness. Then she said, "He watches from over there, he waits." Jason felt something settle in his chest, something heavy and cold. This wasn't a lost child. This was a trapped one. He turned back to her. "Emily, do you want help?" For the first time she looked him directly in the eyes, really looked, and what he saw broke him, because he realized she wasn't just hungry. She was terrified. Her lips trembled, tears welled. "Yes." Jason didn't waste another second. He took off his jacket and draped it over her small shoulders. The fabric swallowed her completely, but the moment the warmth touched her, her face crumpled like she wanted to cry and didn't know how. "You're safe," he murmured. "I've got you. Nobody's going to hurt you now." But the second he said that, a car engine roared to life somewhere in the darkness. Emily jolted like she'd been electrocuted. "That's him." Jason stood instantly, positioning himself between her and the direction of the sound. A pair of headlights flickered on in the alley. Then the car lurched forward too fast, wheels spinning on ice before gaining traction. Jason stepped back, shielding Emily with his body. The car slowed as it approached the diner's back lot, engine growling low like something wild circling its prey. Jason narrowed his eyes. The driver's silhouette was barely visible, but Jason recognized the posture instantly. Predatory, intentional, and dangerous. Emily clutched Jason's pant leg so tightly he felt her nails through the fabric. "Please don't let him take me," she whispered. Jason's jaw locked. "He's not getting anywhere near you." The car rolled to a stop, window lowering just an inch. A pair of eyes peered out, cold, assessing, angry. Jason stared right back, unmoving. Snow fell thicker now, swirling like a curtain between the two men. For a moment, neither moved. Then the driver hissed out one sentence. "She belongs with me." Jason didn't raise his voice, didn't take a step. "She doesn't belong to anyone." The man smirked. "Move aside, this is none of your business." Jason leaned forward slightly, his entire presence shifting, controlled, dangerous, unshakably calm. "It became my business," he said, "the second you left a little girl starving behind a dumpster on Christmas Eve." The man's expression flickered, anger tightening his jaw. Then he pressed the gas. The car lunged forward. Emily screamed. Jason grabbed her instinctively, pulling her into his arms as he pivoted sharply away from the vehicle's path. The tires screeched, swerving on ice, and the car barely missed them before skidding sideways and slamming to a stop. The door flew open. A man in his 30s stormed out, face twisted in fury. "Give her back." Jason stepped forward, lowering Emily gently behind him. "You're done," he said quietly. "Walk away." The man laughed, high, unhinged, nasty. "You think you can stop me? You don't know who I am." Jason tilted his head. "I don't care who you are." Emily whimpered behind him. Jason didn't look back. He just reached one hand behind him, letting her hold onto his fingers for reassurance. The man stepped closer. She's mine. Jason's voice dropped into something cold enough to freeze steel. No, she is. The man lunged. Jason didn't hesitate. He sidestepped, grabbed the man's arm, twisted it behind his back, and slammed him against the hood of the car before the other even realized what had happened. The man roared in pain. Let go of me. You want her? Jason growled. You're going through me first. Jason wasn't shouting. He didn't need to. His control, his precision, his absolute calm was more terrifying than any raised voice. I'll call the police, the man sputtered. Jason leaned closer. Good, because I was about to do the same. Emily peeked out from behind Jason, eyes wide, breath shaking. The man stilled. Jason saw it, the flicker of fear, the realization that this wasn't going his way, that he wasn't the hunter anymore. He tore himself free and scrambled toward the car. This is not over. Jason stepped forward. Yes, it is. The man sped off into the night, tires spinning, engine howling, until the car disappeared down the snowy road. Jason exhaled slowly. Then he turned to Emily. She stood there trembling, clutching his jacket with both hands like it was armor. Jason crouched down again. He won't touch you, not ever again, you're safe. Emily stared at him for a long moment. Then, for the first time, she let herself cry. And Jason wrapped his arms around her, shielding her from the cold, from the fear, from a world that had been too cruel for someone so small. Come on, sweetheart, he whispered. Let's get you warm and let's get you home. Emily's sobs were small at first, quiet, trembling, the kind that come from a child trying not to break completely. Jason held her close, his jacket wrapped around her like a shield against the cold and everything else the last year had done to her. Her breath hitched against his chest, warm compared to the freezing air. It's okay, Jason whispered, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. You're all right now. Emily clung to him like she was terrified he might vanish if she let go. Jason didn't mind. He stayed kneeling, steady as stone, letting her cry until she had nothing left. Snowflakes drifted around them, settling in her hair, melting on his sleeves. Cars passed occasionally on the road, slow and oblivious, none of them realizing the storm that had almost destroyed this little girl's life. After a long moment, Emily pulled back and wiped her face with the sleeve of Jason's jacket. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean to cry. Jason's heart twisted. You don't ever apologize for being scared, not to me. She sniffed. I thought he was going to take me. Jason rested a hand on her shoulder. He's not coming near you again, Emily. I promise you that. She swallowed hard, her voice cracking. People say that, but they don't stay. Jason looked her right in the eyes. I'm staying. There was a flicker in her expression, hope, fragile and confused. But before he could say more, the diner door pushed open, and the waitress stepped outside, hugging herself against the cold. Is everything okay out here? She called. Jason stood, gently guiding Emily with him. We're fine, just need a warm place inside. The waitress nodded. Her gaze landed on Emily and softened instantly. Come in, both of you. I'll make something hot. Emily hesitated, glancing nervously toward the alley again. Jason laid a hand on her back. He's gone, come on. Emily took a small step, then another, her thin shoes crunching the snow as she followed Jason into the diner. The warmth hit them instantly, steam on windows, the scent of coffee and fried food, soft Christmas music humming through old speakers. It was the kind of place where regulars had their booth, and the pies were made fresh each morning. Jason guided Emily to a corner booth away from the windows. She slid in quietly, clutching his jacket tightly around herself. The waitress brought a steaming bowl of tomato soup, a grilled cheese sandwich, and a mug of hot chocolate topped with whipped cream and sprinkles. Emily stared at the plate like it was magic. That's for you, sweetheart, the waitress said gently. Eat as much as you want. Emily's small voice trembled. Do I have to pay? No, Jason said, shaking his head. You just eat. Emily nodded shyly and took her first bite of the sandwich. The moment the warm cheese hit her tongue, her shoulders dropped, like she'd forgotten what real food tasted like. Jason watched her eat, not rushing her. He waited until she'd finished half her soup before speaking. Emily, I need you to tell me something. Who was that man? Her hand tightened on the spoon. She didn't look up. He said he takes care of you, Jason continued gently. But that's not true, is it? Emily shook her head slowly. Who is he? She whispered her answer, so quietly Jason had to lean in to hear it. He's the man my mom left me with. Jason frowned. Your mom left. Emily's lips quivered. She said she'd be back in a few days, but she never came back. And he got angry because I kept asking where she went. He said I was being annoying. Jason's jaw clenched. How long ago was that? Emily poked the spoon into her soup. 3 months. Jason closed his eyes briefly. 3 months. 3 months of this child surviving on scraps, fear, and cruelty from a man who had no right to breathe the same air she did. What's his name? Jason asked. Emily shook her head. I don't know. He said I shouldn't say his name to anyone. Jason sat back slightly thinking. Emily, is he family? No. Did he know your mom? She hesitated. She met him at a motel. Jason exhaled slowly. All right, okay. That told him everything he needed. A drifter, a manipulator, someone who preyed on vulnerable women and their children, someone who took control the moment he was given it. Emily shivered again, though the diner was warm. Her fear wasn't from the cold. Jason softened his voice. Did he hurt you, Emily? She tensed, didn't answer. Jason didn't push. He simply said, you're safe now, and you're not going back to him. For the first time, she looked at him with something other than fear. You won't let him take me. Jason shook his head. Not in this lifetime. Emily took a shaky breath. Sir, why are you helping me? Jason leaned his elbows on the table and spoke slowly. Because a long time ago, someone helped me when nobody else would. And because you're a child, children shouldn't suffer because adults fail them. Emily stared at him like she was trying to understand what kindness even meant. Jason let her finish her food before he stood. Emily, we're going to the police. Her eyes widened. No, no, please. Jason knelt in front of her again. Emily, listen to me. They're going to help. They'll keep you safe. They'll find a place for you that's warm and safe and nothing like where you've been. She shook her head frantically. He said the police will take me away forever. They won't, Jason said firmly. They protect kids, and I'll be there the whole time, okay? Emily swiped tears off her cheeks. She wanted to trust him, but trust had been ripped out of her more times than she could count. Do you promise? She whispered. Jason placed a hand gently on hers. On my life. After a long moment, Emily nodded barely. Jason helped her into his jacket again, zipped it up to her chin, and picked her up gently. She wrapped her arms around his neck, small and trembling but no longer alone. A few patrons watched silently as Jason carried her past their tables, some whispering, some frowning, some looking away. But Jason ignored them all. He had one mission now. Protect this child. He walked her out to his car, checking the street carefully first, scanning every shadow, every corner. No sign of the man. Jason opened the passenger door, set Emily inside, and buckled her carefully. She flinched when a distant car honked somewhere, but Jason placed a reassuring palm on her shoulder. No one's getting to you, he murmured. He got in, started the engine, and drove toward the nearest police station, tires crunching through fresh snow. But halfway there, Emily gasped sharply. Jason immediately slowed. What's wrong? She pointed out the back window with a shaking hand. That's his car. Jason glanced in the rearview mirror, and his stomach hardened. Headlights. Too close. Following. Emily buried her face in the jacket sleeve. He's coming, he's coming. Jason's voice stayed calm, controlled. Emily, look at me. She lifted her head, tears already slipping down her cheeks. You're not going anywhere with him. Understand, I'm right here. She nodded weakly. Jason hit the blinker and turned into a more populated road, hoping the man would back off when other vehicles were around. He didn't. The car stayed behind them, 2 car lengths, then 1, then drifting unnervingly close. Jason took another turn. The car followed. Emily whimpered. Jason reached over and held her hand tightly without taking his eyes off the road. "It's all right," he said again. "He won't get near you." But deep inside, Jason felt a familiar fire rise, the controlled, cold anger he kept buried until moments like this. Moments where someone innocent was in danger. And this man wasn't giving up. "Hold on," Jason said quietly. He pressed the gas, speeding toward town. The other car accelerated too. Jason took a sudden turn into a crowded shopping center parking lot. Cars everywhere, people carrying gifts, lights glowing from store windows. He pulled into a spot and turned off the lights. Emily clung to his sleeve. "Is he here? Is he coming?" Jason scanned the rearview mirror. The man's car rolled slowly into the parking lot. Jason's jaw tightened. He reached to the backseat, grabbed a black knit cap and pulled it low over his head. Then he unbuckled his seatbelt. "Stay here, lock the doors." Emily's eyes grew huge. "No, don't leave me." Jason cupped her face gently. "Emily, I am right here, I'm not going far, but I need to keep him away from this car, you understand?" She hesitated, then nodded, though fear shook her entire body. Jason stepped out quietly and shut the door without jolting the frame. He circled around the back of the SUV, crouching low. The man stepped out of his car across the lot. He scanned the rows, breathing heavily, eyes darting like a predator. Snow fell thicker now, muting sound but not tension. Jason watched him. The man walked between cars, muttering to himself. "Where is she? Where is she?" He kicked a shopping cart viciously. Jason's fists clenched. Then the man turned and faced Jason's SUV. He started walking toward it. Jason moved. Silent. Fast. He caught up to the man just as he reached the back of the car. The man froze when he felt a hand clamp down on his shoulder. Jason's voice was low, quiet, deadly. "You should have left, you had your chance." The man spun, swinging wildly. Jason ducked, grabbed his wrist, twisted sharply and slammed him against a parked car. The man cried out. "You think you can take her?" Jason growled near his ear. "You think you can hurt a child and walk away? Not today." The man struggled, snarling like an animal. "She's mine." Jason shoved him harder. "She's a child, not property." The man reached into his jacket pocket. Jason reacted instantly. He locked the man's arm, swung him off balance, and pinned him face first into the slushy pavement. Something metallic clattered beside them, a switchblade. Jason pressed a knee into the man's back. "Pulling a knife," Jason whispered, "bad move." People nearby gasped. A couple shouted that they were calling the police. Emily, watching from inside the car, trembled uncontrollably, but for the first time she didn't feel helpless. She felt safe. Within minutes, police cars arrived, lights flashing red and blue across the snow. 2 officers rushed over and pulled Jason back, though as soon as they saw the knife and the situation, their grip loosened. The man was handcuffed, shouting incoherently about his girl, his rights, his property. But no one listened. Emily flung the door open and ran straight into Jason's arms. "Don't let them take me," she sobbed. "Please don't let them." Jason lifted her, holding her against his chest. "No one's taking you from me. You're safe." One of the officers approached gently. "Sir, we need to ask the girl a few questions," but he paused, lowering his voice. "Looks like you saved her life tonight." Jason nodded once, just doing what anyone should have done. But the officer shook his head. Not anyone. Most people would have ignored her. Jason looked down at Emily, her little arms wrapped tightly around his neck, and whispered, "That's the problem." The officers took the man away. Emily refused to let go of Jason, trembling every time the man screamed from the squad car. Jason rubbed her back gently. "He can't hurt you, not anymore." They brought Emily to the station, but Jason stayed with her the entire time, holding her hand during questions, making sure she never felt alone. Hours passed. Eventually, a social worker arrived, a warm, kind woman who knelt in front of Emily and introduced herself softly. "Sweetheart," she said, "we're going to find a safe home for you, a real one with people who will love you." Emily looked at Jason. Can he stay?" Jason glanced at the social worker. She nodded. "For tonight, yes, if he wants to." Jason smiled softly. I'm not going anywhere. Emily leaned into him, exhausted, eyes drooping. Before she fell asleep, she whispered one last thing. Thank you for finding me. Jason swallowed hard. You found me, sweetheart. She drifted off against his shoulder, breathing evenly for the first time that night. Jason held her gently, stroking her hair, watching the snow fall outside the station window. And in that quiet moment, he realized something. He hadn't just saved Emily. Emily had reminded him of something he thought he'd lost. Purpose, humanity, hope. And as Christmas Eve turned into Christmas morning, Jason knew, whatever came next, he would never forget the little girl who dug through trash and changed everything.